The United States has initiated a significant military escalation by deploying B-52 strategic bombers directly over Iranian territory for the first time since the current conflict began. Washington claims to have achieved near absolute control over the regional airspace, marking a pivotal shift in the operational timeline that started in late May of the year 2026. According to international defense sources, this presence of non-stealthy heavy bombers indicates that the American military believes the primary threats to its aviation have been neutralized. During the opening phase of the campaign, the United States and Israel focused on using Tomahawk cruise missiles, F-35 stealth fighters, and B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. These assets were tasked with the systematic destruction of early warning radars, air defense batteries, and central command hubs across the country. By mid-May of 2026, images of B-52H bombers carrying AGM-158 Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff missiles at the Royal Air Force Fairford Base suggested a transition. A major turning point occurred in early October of 2026 when military commanders confirmed that B-52 bombers had completed transcontinental sorties into the heart of the interior. This development suggests that the long-range air defense systems of the capital, including the S-300 PMU-2 and Bavar 373 complexes, have been significantly degraded. Thousands of consecutive airstrikes appear to have worn down the defensive capabilities that once protected sensitive military and nuclear installations. In response to the mounting tension, the United States Navy has proposed a plan to purchase nearly 800 additional Tomahawk cruise missiles to replenish its long-range strike inventory. This request follows the intensive use of these weapons in active combat theaters, which has caused the existing stockpile to drop to critical levels. During one period of high-intensity engagement, American forces reportedly launched more than 850 Tomahawk cruise missiles against various ground targets. The Tomahawk is a sophisticated land attack cruise missile powered by a turbofan engine that allows it to fly at low altitudes to evade radar detection. It is capable of striking targets with extreme precision over distances ranging from 1,600 kilometers to 2,500 kilometers. This range allows naval vessels to strike deep into enemy territory without having to approach dangerous coastal waters or put sailors at unnecessary risk. Each individual missile weighs approximately 1.3 tons and carries a warhead weighing nearly 450 kilograms, which is sufficient to destroy fortified structures. The guidance system combines satellite positioning with terrain matching technology to ensure high accuracy even in the most complex electronic warfare environments. These missiles can be launched from a variety of platforms, including destroyers, cruisers, and submarines, making them a pillar of the American doctrine of preemptive strikes. However, the rapid consumption of these strategic assets has highlighted a significant weakness in the military supply chain. In previous years, the procurement rate was limited to only a few dozen units. Furthermore, each missile costs approximately $3.6 million and requires nearly 2 years to manufacture from start to finish. Even if the plan to acquire 800 new missiles is approved immediately, it will likely take several years for the United States to fully restore its strategic reserves. President Donald Trump recently held a press conference to address the ongoing hostilities and the rescue of 2 American service members. He described the recovery of the crew from a downed F-15E Strike Eagle as a historic mission that demonstrated the reach and power of the American military. According to reports from major news outlets, the rescue operation mobilized a staggering fleet of 155 aircraft, including 4 heavy bombers and 64 fighter jets. President Trump explained that a large portion of this massive deployment was intended to serve as a diversion to confuse the opposing forces and protect the extraction teams. The president noted that the military intentionally moved forces across multiple sectors to create the illusion that the downed airmen were in a different location. Experts on Middle Eastern affairs have suggested that such a massive rescue operation might have served as a rehearsal or a larger ground mission. Some analysts believe the maneuvers were a test for a potential operation to seize Iranian uranium stockpiles, although such a task would be fraught with immense danger. Military specialists argue that a force of 5,000 or 6,000 troops would be entirely inadequate for a sustainable ground campaign in such a large country. To exert meaningful influence over the nuclear program or control territory, the United States would likely require a minimum of 500,000 troops, or perhaps even more. The Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has characterized the rescue narrative as a possible cover for more aggressive strategic intentions regarding their nuclear facilities. President Trump officially acknowledged that the F-15E shot down on the 3rd of the month was the first manned aircraft lost to enemy fire during the conflict. This admission is significant because it marks the first time an F-15 has been lost to hostile action in its 50-year operational history. Despite this loss, the president emphasized that American forces have conducted more than 10,000 combat sorties and struck over 13,000 targets during the same period. The two crew members of the downed jet managed to eject and land safely, but they were separated by a significant distance due to the high speed of the aircraft. The first pilot was rescued during the initial search operation, which involved 21 aircraft entering the contested airspace. An H-60 Jolly Green helicopter extracted the pilot. The second crew member, a weapons officer holding the rank of colonel, landed several kilometers away and was seriously injured during the descent. He was forced to survive on his own for nearly 48 hours in the rugged, mountainous terrain of southern Iran, navigating treacherous slopes while bleeding heavily. During his address, President Trump also directed sharp criticism toward NATO allies for their perceived lack of support. He reiterated his long-standing desire to annex Greenland. The president claimed that NATO members had deliberately withheld assistance, leading him to describe the alliance as a paper tiger that does not intimidate world leaders like Vladimir Putin. President Trump did not hide his frustration with traditional allies such as South Korea, Australia, and Japan, accusing them of failing to provide meaningful help. In contrast, he praised several Gulf nations, including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, for their cooperation during the hostilities. Iran has revealed details regarding the preparation and launch of its Harris-110 high-speed stealth drone, also known as the Dalahul. Israeli intelligence assessments suggest that Tehran still maintains a significant offensive capability, with more than 1,000 missiles capable of reaching Israeli territory. The Harris-110 is equipped with advanced turbojet engines and a faceted airframe designed to reach a top speed of 510 kilometers per hour. Military experts report that this UAV can fly at an altitude of 9,144 meters and stay airborne for approximately 1 hour. The drone is specialized for strikes against sensitive targets like radar stations. The Iranian military has warned of a devastating retaliatory campaign if civilian targets are struck. The president has threatened to target Iranian power plants and bridges if the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened by the 7th of the month. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed to have attacked the American amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli with missiles, forcing it to retreat toward the southern Indian Ocean. Reports suggest that the Pentagon is discussing a ground operation to seize various islands to control the Strait of Hormuz and secure oil export hubs. Iranian forces also reportedly targeted a container ship named the SDN-7 with a cruise missile, causing it to catch fire during the ongoing maritime conflict. The colonel reportedly left his hiding place in the final moments to meet the elite Navy SEAL Team 6 operators, scaling a ridge nearly 2,000 meters high. The rescue involved hundreds of special operations troops and the use of MC-130J transport aircraft on a makeshift desert runway. Two MC-130J aircraft became stuck in the soft sand of the desert runway and had to be destroyed by American forces to prevent capture. The injured colonel is currently recovering at a military hospital in Kuwait, while the White House and the Pentagon remained silent for 36 hours following the event. President Trump eventually broke the silence on social media, praising the mission as one of the most courageous search and rescue operations in American history. The downing of the F-15E has exposed certain strategic risks. Even with an overwhelming advantage, the presence of sophisticated missiles means total air superiority is difficult to maintain. The total cost of the equipment lost or destroyed during the rescue operation is estimated to exceed $250 million. A major question remains whether American special forces could successfully seize and transport 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium from underground facilities. The president held an official ceremony at the White House to honor the success of the rescue mission, involving a total of 170 aircraft. Despite the celebratory tone, the president issued a final ultimatum, warning that the entire nation of Iran could be devastated in a single night. He set a deadline for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, threatening widespread destruction of infrastructure if the demand is not met. Economic data indicates that the United States has spent more than $42 billion in only 37 days of fighting, averaging $1 billion daily. This massive expenditure has led to a decrease in the president's approval ratings as citizens worry about inflation and the cost of living. Current budget proposals include an additional $200 billion for the military campaign, which is more than the total spent on the conflict in Ukraine. To fund this, the administration is considering $73 billion in cuts to domestic programs, including teacher training and clean energy investments. The conflict began with coordinated strikes on major cities, including Tehran. In response, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard launched missile attacks against Israeli and American targets. The president's social media posts have used inflammatory language to demand the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which has been blocked since late February. The Iranian government has stated that they will only consider reopening the waterway if they receive full compensation for the damages caused by the war. The use of medium-range surface-to-air missiles combined with infrared sensors has allowed Iranian forces to occasionally bypass the electronic warning systems of modern jets. Military experts note that the ability of the Iranian military to quickly repair damaged facilities and maintain a functioning air defense network is a significant challenge. President Trump remains confident, telling reporters that the military effort is progressing well and suggesting the U.S. should charge fees for ships passing through the strait. Japan is seeking a diplomatic solution as the blockade threatens its vital energy supplies. Prime Minister Takaichi has indicated a desire for direct dialogue with Iranian leaders. Russia has also entered the diplomatic fray, with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov calling for an end to what he describes as reckless military actions. The Russian representative at the United Nations warned that the escalation is causing irreparable damage to global food and energy security. Analysts at the University of Qatar have outlined three possible scenarios, including a regional coalition of Gulf nations taking military action to reopen the strait. Iran has demonstrated its ability to selectively ease the blockade by allowing ships from Russia, China, India, and Pakistan to pass through. Pakistan has emerged as a vital intermediary in these negotiations, providing a neutral space for the two sides to communicate. The Strait of Hormuz handles approximately 20% of the world's oil. India has resumed importing oil from Tehran after a long hiatus caused by sanctions. This shift reflects a broader change in global priorities as nations prioritize energy security over political compliance with Washington's dictates. The President of the United States remains under pressure from both political parties to find a resolution that does not lead to a permanent war. Israel has vowed to continue its operations against Iranian leadership and strategic assets as long as the missile attacks continue. In South America, the government and opposition in Venezuela are considering a rare moment of cooperation to protect their national assets in the United States. Finally, the President of Cuba has met with American legislators to discuss the severe impact of the energy blockade on his island nation. These diplomatic movements across the globe highlight the interconnected nature of modern conflict and the far-reaching consequences of the war in the Middle East.